Before we get into the more or less confident Blaine, we haven't talked about the two-point conversion with you. And so I am intrigued to get your opinion on the rationale behind going for two and the win.
So my default so if I was a coach, my coaching style, my default is everything else even, if my team comes from behind and they have a chance to tie it up, coming from behind gives them momentum, I'm going to extend their ability to play longer. I'm going to kick the extra point and go into overtime. With exceptions, and that is, are there circumstances attached to this game that make me go off of my default? In this situation, there were. We had 3 people in the secondary not playing anymore. So Troy Warner not playing, McChesney not playing, and Kai Nakua not playing. They had just had the ball 11 and a half minutes, and BYU couldn't stop them. So the defense was tired at that point. And so when I look at those 2 complicating factors, then I go, oh, let me add one more. They have a first-team All-American kicker, and we have a freshman. So if defenses are both playing well, so if both defenses hold the 2 offenses to 0 yards, who has a better chance of making a 40-something yard field goal? Their All-American guy, although he does have some broken toes. And so those 3 things would have made me go, my default is this. With these 3 things, I would have gone for 2. So, and my default is to kick it, but I would have gone for 2. So I think the rationale was solid to go for 2. Even if you normally think you want to extend play, there were extenuating circumstances that I think would change your mind, and I think I'd have a hard time arguing against going for 2 in that one.
Are you more or less confident about this BYU team going into the UCLA game now?
I'm kind of the same. The offense is a little bit slower to go where I want them to go, but I think the defense is better than I expected them to be. And so I'm probably about even. You guys remember, we talked weeks ago, I thought if they got 2-2 out of the first 4 games, that we'd be in good shape. And I think...
Has that changed? Has your expectation changed?
I maybe think they're going to be 3-1. And so maybe I'm actually a little more impressed because the defense is so much better than I thought they were going to be.
Which is right where I am.
Yeah, I might actually be slightly ahead of schedule in terms of where they were. Now, had they won that game, now this is an interesting thing. We're talking about they get a 2-point conversion, they win, they don't, they lose. My expectations may have even, because I was saying 8 wins was going to be fantastic this year. I may have gone, well, why not 10? At that point. And so now I'm thinking, hey, why not 9? Because I think that was a game that got away. And I agree with both. I agree with Jerem that if you're +3, you've got to find the way to convert that to more points. My rule of thumb is you've got to get probably an average of about 4 points. So it's a blended field goal touchdown per turnover.
So 24 points would have been good, and it was 13.
I think 20 to 24.
Has anybody put like a specific number on that as what is good?
That's just my own. That's my own measuring stick. That after covering football for 30 years and
4
playing
points
for
a turnover,
years, I feel like if you can average 3.5 to 4 points a turnover, you're going to come out on the winning side of it almost every time.
Okay, we're just going to call that the Fowler metric, okay?
Yeah, the Fowler metric is 4 points per turnover.
Right. If you get that, you will win. You will win. And if BYU had gotten that, they would have won handily. They would have won handily.
Yes.
What kind of language is that? They will win handily.
Yeah. Well, I always say junk on the show anyway. So
That's right. So yeah, well, I washed my tongue this morning. I can't do a thing with it. I just
Here's the thing for me. For me, it depends on who you're playing, where you're playing it, and when you are playing them. I don't think BYU is going to see a better defense all year long. And so while they were +3 against Utah, because Utah's defense is so stout and playing in front of their home crowd in that super hostile rivalry environment, a lot of those, if you're +3, you have to win. I throw a lot of that out the window because of who the defense was and where the game was played.
Yeah, I feel like a home venue is worth about 5 points. So
Vegas says 3.
Yeah, I feel like it's about 5. And I don't know if that's been true in this rivalry because it's been kind of a weird thing between Utah and BYU. I thought Utah was really good defensively when I watched them at Southern Utah. I watched them in this game, and I thought, well, okay, I think they're really good. They're very physical up front. So against the run, they're really good. And then I heard Kyle Whittingham on a comment in some of the post-game interviews where he said, after having this group through fall and through 2 games, he feels like they have the chance to be better than their defense was last year.
Whoa!
And that defense was one of the best defenses, not just in the Pac-12, but in the country. And as a rush defense, they were phenomenal. And so when I heard Kyle say that, I'm like, okay, he's closer to it than I am. I'm watching him and evaluating from a distance. He's there with him every day. If he feels like they have a chance to be better than last year, then this is a really, really good Utah defense. So Spencer, to your point, from a physical standpoint, especially against the run, they will not face anybody better, period. The only one that has a chance to be close is Michigan State against the run. And then you combine the fact that in the back end, they're really good too. They've got two really good corners. I know that Hatfield didn't play, but Porter's outstanding. And their free safety is an NFL guy. Might be the best guy on their team in terms of talent, and Williams. So you're right, Spencer. It's a really good defense. They won't face a defense as physical and tough against the run the rest of the season.
And I think if this game's played in Provo last week and BYU's +3 in turnover margin because of momentum and fans and the craziness, they win by 10 or by 14. You know, I just think that the venue and the hostile environment of the rivalry factors in.
And then offensively, you know, I was a little concerned, but you got to take into account the defense that they played. In fact, the two defenses they played, because Arizona's really good in the back end of that defense too. Their secondary is outstanding. We pushed them around up front, but in the back end they're pretty good. So we haven't had a lot of explosive pass plays yet. You got to keep in mind, even though Taysom is a senior quarterback, this is his first year in this offense, and this offense has to develop. Ty Detmer is a senior, a fifth-year senior, in that situation in two-point conversion, he's gone against Norm Chow's calls a bazillion times already over his career. He comes up to the line of scrimmage, and he sees 3 against 2 on the weak side. There's not even any question in his mind what to do because he's probably seen the same situation 5 times over his career. He checks out of the play, and he gets into something better. Well, Taysom's new in this offense, too. He hasn't seen that situation ever in this offense. He comes up to the line of scrimmage, and now not only is he new in the offense, but they didn't have 10. They only had 10 guys on the field when they came out of timeout.
Pearson comes running on
So he
late.
comes running out, and by the time he gets in place and Taysom turns around, he's got like a few seconds to get the playoff. So the circumstances weren't perfect for them. I think it would have been great to be able to get out of that play. I just don't know that with the time and what happened that they had a chance to get out of the play.
Yeah, Taysom Hill is probably more like a junior when all is said and done in terms of experience.
Skill level.
Because of the injuries.
Yeah, skill level, he's like a senior, but experience level, he's like a junior.
Therefore, I can't justify that loss because it's Taysom Hill. It's a fifth-year senior. Yes, I know it's on the road. Yes, I know it's at Utah. 6 turnovers. You just got to find a way to win in that. So let's push it forward now. The offense has scored in the teens the first 2 games, okay? Spencer, you're saying be patient. Is this a week where we can expect BYU to get into the mid to high 20s or something? Because against UCLA's offense, you would think that BYU is going to have to put up more points than they have the previous 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a different matchup. Utah's always a tough matchup for BYU, just like Utah's a tough matchup for Stanford because their styles are so similar. They're both really, really physical. I'm not saying that UCLA is not physical, but they're more of a finesse team than Utah is. That's better for BYU. BYU wants to maul people up front. With this offense, they want to run the ball, establish the run, and play action pass off of it. And so I think by nature of the system that UCLA plays, BYU is going to be able to run the ball better early, which is going to set up the play action game and allow them to get the ball upfield a little bit more in the pass game. So from a matchup perspective, I like this game a lot better than I like the Utah game. I think BYU will score more points in this game.
Josh Rosen is been heralded. He has been heralded, and it continues to be heralded because of what he does through a skill set. He just looks good. He looks good in his practice and in his footwork, all of that stuff. But when it comes to the 2 games this year, he struggled against Texas A&M. He's running a new offense. Okay, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Against UNLV at home, it was a 7-point game going into the 4th quarter. He had 1 touchdown pass. So when you look at this and it's Taysom Hill in Game 3 versus Josh Rosen in Game 3, what are realistic expectations for both of these quarterbacks in this matchup?
So Josh Rosen, the advantage that Taysom Hill has, and I'm not sure that we saw the real Taysom Hill to the second half of the Utah game. You know, I think that he's trying to feel his way out in the offense and feel how healthy he is. And when we finally saw him take off and run and get some big chunks in that second half, I'm like, oh, that's confidence for him too. And it's on film now for UCLA. Josh Rosen's not that guy. Like, so if they're both in a new offense. So when there is a point of confusion and you're not quite sure what to do, Taysom has the ability to go, let's let's just go run away from somebody
That
and,
was
make,
good
and
to-
make a big play.
That was good to see Taysom Hill,
Yeah.
the runner again.
Where Josh isn't going to do that. So he's got to figure out a way to get the ball away. And what we saw in the Texas A&M game and what we saw in the BYU game last year, now mind you, he was a freshman, so he gets a big-time pass as a freshman. He is unbelievably skilled. Like, he can make every throw. His footwork looks great, all of that.
Sure.
But his fundamentals break down when somebody's in his face. And so Texas A&M got after him. They were in his face. Last year, BYU got after him. Those interceptions were the result of him being a little bit flustered and throwing the ball in places that he shouldn't or off of his back foot. So the key for BYU against Rosen is get in his face and make him choose bad places to throw the football, and then you have opportunities to make plays. If UCLA gets in Taysom Hill's face, he may just run away from him and get a first down. And so that's the difference. I think advantage Taysom Hill. Two guys in brand new offenses, I'd rather have the athletic guy.
I think this is an intriguing matchup, too, because in comes UCLA. BYU's 1-1. The one was by 1 point, an emotional loss. Last year in this game on the road, BYU lost by 1, a freshman quarterback matchup. Now you have the more seasoned Rosen. You have the fifth-year senior in Taysom Hill. Do you expect BYU to win this game, or how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, at home, I expect BYU to win this game. And I expect BYU to be able to be more physical up front. I think they match up better up front on both sides of the ball than they do against Utah. And so I think you're going to see more explosive plays in the run game, which are going to lead to more explosive plays in the pass game. And I think they have the ability to limit UCLA to be one-dimensional, to just shut the run down and make him be one-dimensional. And as good as Josh Rosen is, and I think he's fantastic, I'm glad they play UCLA right now because I don't want to play Josh Rosen in a new offense
Yes.
10 games into the season.
Absolutely.
Should it be
I don't want to play them 10 games into the season.
Should it be reverse one-dimensional? Last year, BYU shut down the pass by pressuring him, but the run was wide open, 200-plus yards for Paul Perkins. What do you think?
I think this year the emphasis is different on defense, and their number one goal in every game is to just make that team not be able to get an inch running the football.
It was last year, but they reversed it for
right.
Rosen,
and so I think in this game it's still going to be don't let him run it an inch. Make Rosen, make him make throws when he's got people in his face and get after him. And so I think they're going to get after it. They're going to trust those corners to play man. Do you get Warner back healthy this week? You hope so. If you don't, if you have Warner and McChesney both out, that hurts.
And no Nakua
And then
on the back end for the first half.
who lurks back there and just seems to always know where the ball's going. Those things hurt. They hurt. And so BYU's got to be especially good up front in the first half to cause him all kinds of problems to make him throw the ball in bad places.
Fantastic stuff from Blaine Fowler. If you want more Blaine after further review tonight, brand new episode breaking down the Utah game, looking ahead to the matchup with UCLA, 7 Eastern, 5 Mountain, right after BYU Sports Nation's rebroadcast on BYUtv. Thanks for the time, Blaine.
You bet, guys.